Okay, so how are you going? This is a special video for compliance professionals who are not from a deeply technical background. I want to give you a bit of an idea on how to audit a crucial factor, which is the path to recovery of a mission critical server, which has been a huge problem for companies like MGM or Grand or Colonial Pipeline, Kettering Logistics in the UK, who just went bankrupt last week, and many others. They have not audited their recovery systems, and they've been failed primarily by the business continuity people. All right, so we have to face the fact that the bad guys, threat actors at nation state level, will attempt to put a backdoor even at the electronic chip level of your system board, and there have been cases of that. So what do we do? My preference is to recover on a completely different piece of hardware. That might not be practical if your server is worth $250,000 and you haven't got a spare one lying around. Okay, so here's the next best thing. Whether it's HP or Dell or IBM Lenovo, you download a copy of the BIOS or the UEFI file. This is what can flash the electronic chip on the system board. And the first thing you do is you get that prepared. You download it and you practice, and you get the engineer to flash it, and you witness that. All right. Now what happens is that this, once downloaded onto the USB, which you can download from any vendor website. I don't believe you need a service contract. I got mine from HP. I don't have any relationship with HP. Right? And then what happens is that that is placed into the USB port of the mission critical server. You then boot from that USB. You then flash the BIOS chip, and then you reboot the server, and you put your recovery disk on. Your recovery disk, if you've read my document, where I've given 5 different architectural levels to assist recovery. I've talked about ternary break-off mirrors. I've talked about snapshots. I've talked about good old tape systems, right? And these are immutable backups that you've kept. Now you need to audit this. The tremendous lack that I've seen, certainly in Southeast Asia, business continuity professionals who've never booted a server in their life. I've got no idea. They get told, oh yeah, we've got good backups, and they believe it. And this is why we have disasters like the Colonial Pipeline or Kettering Logistics or City of Portland or Oregon or whatever you want to choose, or in Australia, Toll Logistics, in Europe, Maersk Shipping Line. They did not audit their recovery path. So we're starting the purple team. You've heard of the red team and the blue team? The purple team is the recovery professionals. And even if you're not from a technical background, you're part of that. Okay, so now I'm going to cut into the boot up videos, and you can sort of see exactly how we do it. Thank you. You will see as the system's coming up, okay, I've got some options. Now look at here, F11. If I hit F11, that is my boot menu key. It gives me an option of booting from the USB key. I've just booted it, and you see it's become highlighted, right? So when that boots up, it'll now give me an option to boot from that USB key. So it's just going through the normal motions. In this job, you spend hours and days rebooting servers and looking at these screens. So the trick is to do it before the emergency and get familiar with all the ins and outs. And you've got to audit the IT staff that they can do this if you're a compliance professional. Okay, right. Now it'll come in now to the screen. I've hit the boot menu key, so it'll give me an option. Right, it should be coming up any second now. Okay, and what this will do, it'll give me the option of booting from the BIOS. Okay, here it comes. There's the screen. What do you want to do? Now normally it's number 5, you boot to the hard disk, but I want number 3, one-time boot to a USB drive key. Now I'm not going to hit that key now. I'm just going to hit the disk key because I don't have the BIOS set up, because this is not a technical video, it's more for compliance people. So what would happen is the server would boot up, we then flash the BIOS chip, and then reboot the server normally. Okay, all right, I'll stop that there now. Okay, so what have we done today? We've negated and stopped the nation-state threat actor from compromising the electronic chip on our system board in our HP server, IBM Lenovo server, Oracle server, Dell, whatever. Methodology is very simple. Download the pristine copy of the BIOS or the UFE, which is the modern, how can I put it, the descendant of the BIOS. They call them UFE chips now. And you put that in the server, you flashed the new BIOS or the new UFE to the electronics. You've wiped out the threat actor. Okay. That is now booting up. After we've reflashed the UFE BIOS, we boot up to from our recovery disk. Now, this LED is it's dazzling a bit, but that's our immutable backup, implementing one of the principles I wrote in my paper: keep a separate immutable backup on multiple media in different locations and different methodologies. This is just a standard USB copy of the server system data, or the Oracle with the Oracle database or Exchange database, whatever. It's booted up a lot more slowly because it's USB. That's fine. Once it boots up, it'll load into memory and it will give performance fairly reasonable, as if it was operating from an internal disk. Now that you've now recovered a mission critical server in under 3 hours, because all the difficult steps you audited 7 weeks ago or 3 months ago with the engineers. And you now have a situation where you're not being held to ransom, because even if your $350,000 endpoint security solution fails and lets the zero-day exploit through or the malware through, compromises 5 of those servers, you're going to be back in 4.5 hours, 5 hours maybe, because you've practiced all the steps and you've troubleshot all the procedures, because you've audited what the engineers can and cannot do. You have seen the credibility gaps and the capability gaps, and you've ensured management has got those credibility gaps fixed. The engineers are more confident because they've done it many, many times. If you can't do that, then you're at the mercy of the threat actor, and you've got to consider paying $150,000, $500,000 or $5 million, as in the case of what happened in Vegas a few weeks ago. If they had had a purple team, if they had audited recovery paths, they could have thumbed their nose at the threat actors and they could have recovered. There'll still be issues. As I mentioned, there's a slow boot up. If this disk is done every week and kept immutable, then worst case you could lose 7 days of data. If let's assume we had the incident today, this disk is 7 days old, so the previous week's 7 days data we haven't got. That's true. But the thing of it is that you can easily recover that data from an Oracle, if it's Oracle, from an Oracle database log, and you've got many experienced professionals, or even Oracle Corporation or managed service providers have the expertise to do that. Okay, Exchange database the same. But if you cannot reboot your server, then you're at the mercy of the bad guys. This way, you've done much better because you have audited the recovery path and you have recovered your systems and you've addressed the main question that should be asked but isn't asked today, is that why can't these organizations with multi-million-dollar IT infrastructure recover? Why don't their backups work? And the answer is because they're not tested and the recovery path is not audited and they haven't used people like you. All right, so I've got to end this now, otherwise I'm going to blow through my LinkedIn limit. But I hope you've learned something today. I've skipped over some technical details because this is primarily for compliance people. Okay, so from the Lao People's Democratic Republic, God bless, and I hope this has assisted you. And please look at the documents that I'm linked to below to increase your audit capability. Thank you.